Is it going? Okay. So the different charcoals is, this is your willow, this is your compressed, then this is just the normal bigger charcoal. What's neat about the willow is, see how black it can get? It's kind of fun to fill in, like if you're shading like a face or like, sorry, the cheeks of a face or like your neck. This one, just, it's really a fun, soft way to shade. This, the more of the compressed stuff, can give you some finer lines to work with. Do you notice how it's not as crumbly as that first one? Charcoal is a lot of feel. The first couple of days I use charcoal, I actually have a hard time with it because I'm one of those that can't even, like on a chalkboard, I have a hard time with that texture and the grittiness of stuff, and how, because it's more of a gritty texture, it's not smooth like a pencil. And you'll notice that too. So it might take a couple days. I sometimes get kind of actually honestly irritated the first couple days I'm using it because it's like, it's crumbly and I just don't like, and I don't like my fingers being dirty all the time. And then this one's kind of fun too, because this one you can actually cover a lot more area. And like, so if you're shading a bigger area, it's just a funner charcoal to use and not have to do stuff. And then they're fun to erase into. This one's easier to erase. The thing with charcoals too is, one student one year, because we start drawing the eyes like their actual portrait that they were doing on good paper. They started drawing, and they had the eyes done, the mouth, nose, everything done, but then they started to shade it. And what happened was, is they took their pencil, and charcoals are really unforgiving in that if you draw a line like this, and you try to shade it, see how that line's still kind of there? Can you guys see that on that? No, you can't. Let me do it this way. So here's an example. You draw with a charcoal pencil, a hard line. You can never erase that line. So charcoals are a lot more unforgiving in that that's an erased charcoal line. Okay. So you gotta really just kind of play around and always work light to dark and take your time. Don't just say, oh, I'm gonna use this big charcoal and fill in all this area and be done in 20 minutes. It's better just to go slow with it and not mess up, because it's really hard to fix it once you do mess up. And then your pencils are, that's 2B. Okay, so this is your 6B, kind of like your drawing pencil. This is your 4B, and then this is your 2B. So if you notice how crumbly the 6B is compared to the different types. I honestly don't get much of a difference between a 4B and a 6B. When I do the drawings, I pretty much just use a 6B and a 2B for charcoal pencils. But the 4B can pretty much get almost as dark as a 6B, so if there's never 6B, just use a 4B. It gets as dark in that. So those are the pencils. If you're using these are really simple. You just take your blending stick and get it clean that way. And then these are your sharpeners, so make sure you're using the red sharpener. The white charcoal, I can't really show you until I actually draw the eye. So what you're going to work on is, I think I've said this before in here, I was always one of those that could look at something and draw it. So to actually teach students how to draw, it's been fun for me to find good resources, because obviously with a class of 30, I can't help everyone as much as I would like to. Like, I can make it around, but you guys might need a little more help. So I actually have this handout, and I've used it, I think the last 6 years I've taught this, and it's called from the book Anatomy for the Artist. But it's a really neat book handout in that it's not a ton of reading, but these really help you break down. It just has good tips about the head and the neck. And then the neat thing is, so it breaks down how to draw the eye step by step. So you have step 1, step 2, step 3, and step 4. And then on the side, it talks about step 1, and it talks about step 2. What you're going to do is start with step 1, and then do 2 on top of 1, and then 3 on top of, you keep building it. Or some students can honestly just look at step 4 down here and make it look like on top of that without having to do these ones. This is a photocopy, so in the original, it's not this dark. You know, so still don't make it look like you got just rubbed your eye with a bunch of charcoal and, you know, you got this big ugly bruise on the inside of your eye. Try to make it look like it's got a little variation. even though the photocopy doesn't look that great. And then it goes into the nose, and it's really neat because when I was in college, I should bring my stuff in if I can, I know where it's at actually. When I took a figure drawing class, we had to learn the bones and the muscles, because anytime you try to draw a person or something and you got, if you understand the bone structure below it, it actually starts to look more realistic in the muscles. So what's neat is this handout actually breaks down some of the bones too, because these bones will actually give you the shape of your nose. So it's kind of, I know it's a little more advanced, but it's just really neat how it breaks it down so you can go through. So we're going to be going through this packet the next week and a half. And I mean, it has tips in here, different drawing tips. And yeah, so that's that. What you're going to do today is these scraps of paper, like I said, you're not going to use rulers anymore. These, get one, rip it up in half if you need to, if it's too long, and stick it in your sketchbook. You're going to use this all the time when you're drawing a face. The cool thing about a face is that the whole face, if you get the eyes proportioned right, everything is drawn from the eyes. Because your nose lines up with your eyes, your mouth lines up with your eyes, your ears line up with your eyes. And so everything within your face actually lines up with your eyes. So it's kind of cool that if you can figure out your scale and proportion right of your eyes, then everything else will, and then your whole body is actually built from your head, the proportion of your head. I think it's 7 or 8 heads make up an entire body. So that's a neat thing, and that's why we focus on the eyes first, because if you can get the eyes, you can do the whole rest of the face. So you're going to take an HB pencil or just a light pencil, and you're going to start with step 1. Okay, so step 1 is you're figuring out just your proportion or scale of your eyes. There is 1 eyeball length between your eyes. So I drew this box, like here, then I measured it on this paper, and now I'm going to draw, this is my nose, and then this is my second eye. So students really have a hard time, and I honestly have a hard time too, making the 2 eyes the same size. Everyone's like, I can draw 1 eye, but that second eye I just can't draw. Well, this is how you're going to be able to draw it, because it's your little, you're basically making a grid for yourself to know how to, how big to make each eye, and to make them proportional. This head is tilted back, so this bottom line, if you take your ruler and look at that, see how it's actually at an angle? So you just match that angle and draw it. But if you've never done this before, then I would suggest just doing straight and just trying to draw 2 eyes that way. So now what I'm going to, you don't have to draw this bottom line if you don't want to. I just did because some students find it easier. So now what the fun thing is all you're going to do is put this eye inside of this. I like drawing them larger because with charcoal I have a hard time getting really small, fine details with charcoals, especially when I haven't drawn with them in a while. So just as practice, I kind of draw it. So just like you did when we did all those blind and modified drawings, just look at the contour of everything. Don't worry about trying to make it perfect or exact. The thing with eyes too is every eye reflects, like your lighting that you're in. And so the trick to making eyes look alive is this white dot. Some students forget that white dot, and when it's in, the eye will look flat. It's just, so what I actually do when I draw these is I draw that white circle in so I don't forget when I'm shading to leave it white, because it's kind of hard to go back in with your eraser and to get it to look right. So you just want to basically draw a rough outline with your pencil, and then you're going to play with the charcoals. You can try the willow, you can try any of them, you can try a pencil. You don't need all 3 pencils today because it's going to be just a little bit of time to work. So the thing with this is you don't need to put as much charcoal down as you think you would have to, because it really covers a lot of area with very little. And then the pressure, you'll figure that out too. If you press really hard, how much charcoal comes off your pencil versus when you press lighter. And it's kind of just fun playing. And then the eyeball is still round. You don't want to shade them straight across. So what I do, oh, that's what I wanted. Is so you want to shade it round with the eye. Don't The thing, I don't know, some students were having fun the last couple hours and they actually did pretty decent on these. The eyes, what makes them look real too, is if you keep those lines in it. So when you're shading this, don't just go, oh, let's make it like solid, but try to make it more liney. It's really, the hard thing is to keep it white around the pupil, because it will get all gray. And that's okay if you mess up, then try, just draw an eye right below it and keep practicing. So you can use a white charcoal, you don't have to. It totally will change the whole look if you do. So some kids like it, some kids don't. It's not required. And then you just kind of have fun learning how to shade it and all that stuff. I don't know. Just want you guys to play. Do you guys have questions at all? So today, see how, I don't know, you'll see too, like when you use this blending stick a lot, it kind of washes out the boldness of the charcoal. So, I don't know, it kind of gives and takes how much you actually want to use the blending stick. I don't know. Eyes are fun. Don't get frustrated with them. I just really want you guys to kind of play, make them look like the eye. So, do you guys have questions? That's kind of just a quick drawing of one. Okay.